Hey guys, you're gonna have to go ahead and do the chat without me because my little enter thing, I can't figure out how to make it work, and I have no idea why it stopped working. Maybe it works and I'm just, doing the user error thing. So I'll be talking while you'll be chatting. Or else I'll be talking while you guys just sit there quietly listening and not chatting at all, evidently. I have just, I would say, about a half an hour this morning. And this is what I wanted to do because we spend so much time, and it's on me. It's, how do they say it? My bad. We spend so much time focusing on the drama crap that I thought, let's do a good morning live chat where we talk about the issue of Munchausen by proxy, where we talk about the warning signs that we see in the case of Christopher Watts, where we talk about why on earth, if so many people knew that poor little Bella and Cece were being given Tylenol and Benadryl at bedtime, and it wasn't even bedtime, it was more like dinner time, and then put to bed, why 3 years later is it just this channel who is discussing that, which I believe is a major issue of this case? Munchausen by proxy, as we all know, is child abuse. It is a very serious and very dangerous form of child abuse. Both kids are sick again. It looks to me like from, I think it was June 22nd of 2016 on, from that date, it looks to me like both kids were sick again, at least on a monthly basis. And we're not saying they just didn't feel good one day or they had a little tummy bug. We're saying there were posts where Christopher Watt's wife said that they were sick for days on end. Were they really sick? Or was it all part of an act? If they were really sick, then why didn't society have a safety net in place to protect poor little Bella and Cece? If society did have a safety net in place, then how could the safety net have been stronger and more effective? Mia says, I think they don't talk about it because she's gone and there's nothing to do now. But there is plenty to do now, in my opinion, because there are other children out there who are being given Benadryl and Tylenol at bedtime. And by discussing the issues in this case, then we are able to help promote awareness for friends and family members and neighbors and whoever, right? And for the people who work for the agencies which are in place to help protect children. If we can help promote awareness based on discussing this case openly and honestly, then we can help protect other children in the future. Exactly. Anybody who was connected on any of her social media activity must have noticed. They must have wondered to themselves, what the H is going on? And then if we could actually get an active dialogue rolling, right? And I mean we as in all of us in the true crime community about this important issue, then maybe we could start discussing what should we do if we do notice somebody who is in our life doing the same thing. What's the best plan, you know? Is it the best plan to say, hey, this is wrong, you know, to confront them directly? Or is it the best plan to make some kind of phone call? Is it the best plan to maybe speak with family members and say, hey, why are the girls sick all the time? And the thing is, if you look at some of those interviews, it's like everyone just bought it and ran with it. You know, yeah, they were sick a lot. Yeah, they were sick a lot. They were sick a lot. Really? Take a look at those autopsy reports. They were healthy. I think the issue of normal is really important too, because I think a lot of the people who are saying that's not right to accuse her of that, who think that it is perfectly normal, or they'll say, oh, it's okay to play with water guns, you know, talking about when Christopher Watt's wife was spraying poor little Bella right in the eyes with water. I should say dousing her with water. That wasn't playing with water guns. There was no part of that video that was playing with water guns. And that's the part. It's like, do people actually look at those videos and think that was normal? Do they think it was normal to dose kids up with Benadryl and Tylenol? Do they think it was normal to take 2 children to an emergency room in the middle of the night or late at night or whatever? What? Why not take them to the pediatrician during the day, right? Yes, we hear that over and over again, and that has been going on right from the start. Stop talking about the case. And the people saying that are the ones who are, you know, making bank on talking about the case over and over again. Another thing they do is let's all get along. We're against bullying. Let's all be nice. Well, in their own comment threads, they're allowing bullying and hatred to run free. Happy says people who are genuinely interested in true crime agree that this has been overlooked. And it's also, I think, part of the whole diversionary thing going on. Yes, the drama, the fighting, it brings in the money. Good point. So, here we are. The Munchausen by proxy is huge. Absolutely huge. And what is the justification, if any, which I can't think of any at all, ever, to not dealing with the issue when the children were alive and then pretending it away after they've died? I would think that that would even be more compelling, really, to have an open and honest discussion about it. Because, again, we do have safety nets in our society. So why was there a hole in the safety net in their case, right? What happened? Who missed the opportunity to protect Bella and Cece? And it isn't even about blame or accountability or whatever at this point. In my opinion, it's about how can we, moving forward as a society, how can we help ensure that other children are not in a situation where those who are in place to help protect them miss the opportunity to be able to protect them. It would definitely be interesting to see if they ever missed any daycare, because I am beginning to wonder whether or not they were ever sick. And I don't mean ever as in ever, you know what I'm saying? But all those times over and over again, both kids are sick again. Maybe they weren't. Maybe she just found that got her some good attention on Facebook. And just think of all the different people enabling it. That's the part that's just so weird. It's like, it's so weird. It is just so weird. Times are changing so quickly from the real life stuff to the Facebook stuff that evidently on Facebook anything goes. In real life, a person would have said to her, and I'm talking, if people gathered up like we used to, people would have been saying to her, "What do you mean they're sick again? How often are these kids sick? What's going on? You need to find out what's going on." And they would, just by the look on their face or the tone of their voice, they wouldn't be applauding her, right, for claiming the kids were sick all of the time. They would be going, "Okay, this is weird." And she would pick up on that social cue. And if she was lying about it just to get attention, she'd figure out that wasn't working so well for her. Also, if she was making them sick, which is what Munchausen by proxy is about, and she had real life people going, "Okay, this is weird, what's going on?" Maybe she would have figured out that what she was doing was really bad and she would have stopped doing it. Also, in-person people would have been able to look at the kids and see if they were sick. You know, there would have been some accountability there. If she's like, oh, they're so sick, and then you're right there and you go, they look fine to me. That entire familial Mediterranean fever routine, too, didn't she have anybody in her life saying, you know what, you're looking kind of weird right now, so you might want to stop that one? And then I think the other question is, if there was a problem with her being able to care for her own children, it's interesting that the answer was to keep on pretending she was caring for her own children. There should be no shame whatsoever if a parent is struggling to cope or struggling to care for their child. There should be no shame whatsoever in that parent having somebody else caring for the child. And I don't just mean daycare and then let's go ahead and pretend like we're super mom. I mean actually having somebody else care for that child. That other channel that we were talking about, as far as the whole, I don't even want to say the word, but how the guest panel was acting like they actually knew what a certain word meant. That host of that channel, she is a proactive person in society who is actively and appropriately, in my opinion, actively engaging in helping to raise children, whether or not she gave birth to them, right? It doesn't matter. She has taken on her niece because her niece needed to have a good, safe place, right? And she opened her door and she's raising her niece as if she's her own. That's what our society needs to be able to do if somebody does need help, if somebody is not capable of caring for their own. We need to forget the shame, blame, whatever routine and put the child's needs first. Where is the best placement for the child? Okay? That channel creator she's walking the talk, okay? By taking in her niece, she is walking the talk. Because everybody can sit around and go, oh, gee, oh, that's terrible. Oh, something must be done. But the reality is the child needs to have a safe place, right? And that channel creator is offering that safe place for her niece. And I don't know the circumstances with that situation, but I highly doubt that she's thinking any less of or shaming the parent or whatever, because the important thing is the child. And that's what I think needs to happen, is that we somehow figure out a way to make it shame free for a parent who is struggling or for a parent who is incapable or whatever to step away and allow parenting to go on by others. Do you guys remember when they started telling people they could drop their babies off at the fire station? I don't know if you guys remember that. I remember before they started saying that, and moms and dads, I mean, parents were harming their children. And then I don't know when it was exactly. It was probably like 30, 40 years ago. I don't know when it was. But they started saying, if you're struggling, if you have any kind of needs that make it impossible for you to care for your baby, if you're angry with your baby, if you find yourself yelling at your baby, they had all these different um, I would say like public service announcements and everything saying if you are harming your baby, if you're thinking of harming your baby, that it's okay to drop your baby off at the fire station or at the hospital and you won't be in trouble for dropping the baby off. And I would dare say that there have been a lot of babies who have been saved because of that shift in society where we came up with a solution to at least try to help that problem, right? To help take care of that problem. Well, I'm saying the same thing needs to happen, I think, in a case like this, where you have someone so hell-bent on trying to act like she's totally successful. It didn't take us but 5 minutes to figure out that maybe she wasn't, right? Unless you measure success by how much product you're piling high in your basement. I think that would be really interesting to know what you guys are talking about whether or not the kids miss daycare. Wouldn't that be something if we found out that they were there every day and there was never a problem? Wouldn't that be interesting if we saw a daycare schedule that they never missed a day? Boy, that'd change the conversation quick, wouldn't it? And here's the thing, too. People say, oh, gee, she lost her kids. Oh, gee, he lost his kids, whatever. And they try to shame, shame, shame. Well, and I hope this other channel creator doesn't mind if I use her as the example, but it isn't about shaming the birth parent. It's about thanking the birth parent for loving the child enough, right? For loving the child enough. The parent who everyone wants to bash or blame. If the parent recognizes their own shortcomings and they say, I need you, my child needs you to please step in and watch over her, please. That is a loving parent. That's the definition of a loving parent, regardless of whether or not whatever their personal issues are that prevent them from being able to properly raise their own child. So that's what I'm saying. There's a shame component that I think we need to remove and open that door so that people who are struggling or incapable are not forced with this sense of, shame that they just don't even know how to process. That takes the focus off of the child. And we need to put the focus back on the child. Is the child being properly cared for? I love Happy Bunny's comments. When mine got me mad, I'm sitting in the sun, you guys. Sorry, I can barely see my screen. This will be a slow read here. When mine got me mad, I used to sit on the wall in the garden. I used to take a bubble bath. Anytime I was upset or needed space or anything, I took my bubble bath every day anyway, but I would always, some days I took 3. If mom was in the bathroom and the water was running, probably everyone better behave. Rose said I would come to my room, bathroom, or front porch. Boomtown Cat says, Would that be why they were verbally delayed? I don't know what you're referring to, but I applaud you for being brave enough to say they were verbally delayed. And that's another issue, I think, of this case that deserves our discussion, that deserves our focus. Why were they so verbally delayed? And why on social media is everyone trying to pretend that away? Why aren't people concerned as to why they were so verbally delayed? I don't know exactly how many months or years difference. You know, we just all know from our own parenting experiences, right? But to me, Cece seemed like a very young 3 year old, very young, as in, I mean, I don't know how, I hesitate to even wager my opinion on this one because I have no clue. But I did not see in any of those videos Cece speaking as a 3 year old ever. And the same with Bella. Bella seemed more like a very shy 2.5 year old. And I'm talking specific to communication skills. Rose says, need to restart phone. Give me 5. We'll be here, Rose. Yes, Boomtown, exactly. And again, it isn't at all that, you know what's going to happen. The scumbag attackers are going to say, oh, they're bashing. Well, bullshit. We're not. We're discussing a very serious concern after watching those videos and seeing Cece. I don't know. Can you guys name a video where she was actually talking? I'm trying to think just off the top of my head, and I don't know of any. Was there ever a video of Cece actually talking? And I guess it could also be asked, was there ever a video where Bella was actually talking? Because Bella was pretty much responding to what she was supposed to say or do, right? With that look in her eye, kind of that hesitant, that look of anticipation, what's coming next. I didn't see two children who were free to be two children at all. I didn't see two children who were free to speak or free to feel or free to think or free to question. At those ages, those little girls should have been interrupting every single video saying, Mommy, Mommy, what about this? Look at that, Mommy, what's that? Why? And how does this work? And where's that from? Did they ever ask a question? Did they have the freedom to say no? Did they have the freedom to say, get me off this counter, get me off of your phone? Did they have the freedom to march away from her and say, no? And if they had such, I'll call it lagging communication skills, then let's break it down. When were they being communicated with by an adult? When? I think pretty much it would have been at daycare. Well, at daycare, they're one of many children, right? And daycare centers are full of kids who have been daycare kids from the time they were born, and they are loud and proud. And let's not kid ourselves. You can tell who a daycare kid is and who a stay-at-home mom kid is, right? There's a difference. You can tell, and you know it. It's kind of a taboo subject because we want everyone to feel guilt-free about kids being in daycare centers all the time. Or I'm sorry, they call it school because that helps parents, erase any kind of feeling of, gee, maybe they should try to figure out how to have the kids in daycare fewer hours at least if they can, right? And this whole thing about how kids need to socialize, I'm sorry, I don't know when on earth it became a priority for our society to socialize 2-year-olds. Why does a 2-year-old need to socialize? I don't get it. Sorry. And I would dare say that the 2-year-old would disagree. The 2-year-old would probably say, if they were able to respond to that fallacy I think that society has adopted, that they really don't want to socialize, that what they want is to be the center of one of their parents' attention at home with their own dog, with their own bedroom, with their own banky, right? I highly doubt there is any 2-year-old on the planet who really wants to go socialize. Whoa, Welsh Truth Dragon is absolutely speaking very clearly and directly. Quote, look, SW was the most my favorite song just came on the radio. Sorry. Look, SW was the most unlikable victim. She was no victim. Happy Bunny says, agree, Welsh. Susie says, some people have to, though, in order to work, but she didn't. Facebook, Facebook, Facebook. And I agree. Some people do have to put their kids in daycare. That is true. And there's no shame in that. If you're working to support your family, there's no shame in that. I think as long as you're not using daycare to go get your nails done. Have you guys ever been a daycare provider? Have you ever done that? I did for 1 year. After my second baby was born, I took 1 year off of work. And I say I took it off of work. I worked hard, of course. But I had a little daycare in my home for 1 year. And I'll tell you, there's nothing more maddening to your daycare provider than you running your errands after you get out of work before you pick up your kid. That's what I'm talking about. Hey, Miss CD. I love how you always come in right when we're almost wrapping it up. When I hopped on, I said this was going to be a short one. We're talking right now. We started off talking about Munchausen by proxy, and now we're talking about daycare centers and stuff. And actually, we're wondering whether or not we'll ever see the schedule from the daycare center. And we're kind of curious whether or not the kids actually ever did take time off for being sick. Rose says, I would love to expand, but no time. Okay, let me scroll up and see what she wants to expand on here. Oh, I'm sorry, Rose. I missed your comment up high. Okay, Rose says the hardest thing for me was when my mom put my child in a daycare preschool to kindergarten because I worked so much and she couldn't handle him. Hmm. Oh, and I want to thank you guys for last night with that chat because I think it could have gone pretty south and it didn't, and I'm really glad. And when I say it could have gone pretty south, I mean we could have spent a ton of time going, you know, blah 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 about the other channel creators and stuff, and we didn't. And I really appreciate that because I know you guys are really good at just carrying the ball where we're not just sitting here, spending the whole time trying to, you know, oh, this one did this and that one did that. I like it how we can, for the most part, stay focused on the case. I'm sitting in the sunshine, you guys, so if I get any of these words wrong, I can't really see my screen that well. I'm sitting here scrunching my eyes. RJ Heights says there are so many real careers today that support women in at work. My son only went to preschool 2 days a week, and they were half days, and it was a co-op where you are involved. Today was Cece's birthday. What's the date today? Oh my gosh. Aw. Let's see. I'm thinking here. I'm gonna leave the live chat for just a second. I'm gonna try to change the thingy. If I make a mistake and it drops, then I'll hop on later tonight. But I think I'll be able to do it without dropping it. Hey guys, I think it worked. Okay, take a look at the title of this video now. See if you can see what it says. Thank you for letting us know that, you guys. I'm sorry. So, do you guys have anything fun planned for the weekend? Yeah, that was pretty impressive last night how fast I put those videos up, huh? I'll tell you, as soon as I learned how to take screenshots, I mean, the sky was the limit, right? If I could only get my little enter button figured out today. Susie says, nothing exciting. Nearly 5 p.m. here. I'm heading out to listen to some really good music today. Oops. Carla says, no sound. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Hello, hello? I know what, last night was funny. I was so tired. I was so tired. Okay, good. You can hear. Good. You guys are going to be absolutely shocked when I am able to tell you something. Don't you love it when I do that? When I lead in with that? But you guys will be so shocked when I'm able to tell you something. I just can't tell you yet. But I have just experienced something that is so, it's so weird. I can't even think of what word describes it. It is so shocking to me what I just experienced on behalf of somebody else, but it's like part of what I experienced was a very evil attempt to prevent others from being able to help protect the other person. It was downright frightening at times. It was shocking throughout the entire time. And it's so disgusting now that this person is absolutely safe and not subject to that evil behavior that was going on. It's so shocking now to look back and go, oh my gosh, I can't believe this goes on in our world. And how organized it was, and how shocking, I think, is the word. Shocking is the word. So I think within a short time, I will be able to share with you what I experienced. But suffice it to say that I'm still exhausted. Oh my gosh. I had so many times where I either had to drive a lot of miles or I had to stay up wait, I'd be going to sleep at 5 a.m. after staying up all night writing out different outlines and information and researching. And I want to tell you this: when you go through something like what I have recently experienced, you find out exactly who in your world. We all have our friends and family and loved ones and neighbors and our church families and everything. We know that we have our close friends, we have our longtime friends, we have our, we all have different levels of friendships, right? And when something like this goes on, and this again was so shocking and so strange, so a big part of what made it difficult to experience was I had never heard of such a thing. I had never seen anything like it. I had no clue that this went on in our world. And it was amazing to me the people in my life who jumped in with both feet. And it was just so amazing to see the support and the I don't know a word, the energy that was spent by so many of us. You know, there were days where I felt like, oh my gosh, am I the only one who cares that this is happening? And that was not the case at all, because we had many people who were doing different things. Like one particular friend from law school, she jumped right in, and nobody said to her, hey, you need to jump in and do this, right? She jumped right in, and her talent, really, her skill is she is one heck of a researcher. As soon as she caught wind of what was happening, she jumped right in and she researched her heart out. And by the end of the day, she had valuable information for the rest of us, right? And for those of us trying to figure out even what was happening to begin with, because it just seemed so surreal and it was odd. And the other thing I want to share with you guys that I can say at this point, through the entire ordeal, I kept listening to my gut feeling. And we've talked about that many times in our live chats about how important it is for us to have a finely tuned radar for who we can trust or who we can depend on or whatever, right? Or who we can run away from fast, right? Like that guy who grabbed a quick kiss on that first date. Like, put your Nikes on and go for a run. Well, my gut feeling, it's really weird. And even as exhausted as I was, I kept saying, I'm too old for this. Or I kept saying, boy, God must think I'm really strong, because they say that God only gives you what you can handle, right? And I kept thinking to myself, like, maybe I should let God know that I don't think I'm as strong as he must think I am. So during that time frame, though, when you're coming up against evil and you're not evil, which I'm not evil, it's difficult because we don't know how evil works. So it's hard to kind of guess what their next little evil move is going to be. I went with my gut feeling every step of the way. If I had a gut feeling that the evils were going to try to, whatever, if my gut said don't go there, or if my gut said go there, or if my gut said like danger is just around the corner, my gut was right every step of the way. And I didn't know it at the time as I was going through all of it, but I kept listening to my gut feeling. And every step of the way, looking back, every step of the way, that gut feeling carried us through. It's just incredible. So if you don't have a well-defined gut feeling, work on developing your gut feeling. Listen to your gut. Learn how to hear your gut. Your gut will speak to you. And sometimes it's just a tightening. Sometimes it's a rumble. Sometimes it isn't anything at all with your gut. You just know. You just know. Don't ever ignore your gut feeling. I have spoken with rape survivors, stranger rape, I'm talking survivors, because I've also worked with survivors of marital rape, and that's a whole different issue. But stranger rape survivors who I have spoken with have shared, not every time, not every one of them that I've spoken with, but many of them have shared that they had a gut feeling before it happened. They had a gut feeling not to get in that car. They had a gut feeling based on something that the person who attacked them said at one point. Or they had a gut feeling not to walk down that part of town or whatever. I have heard the term gut feeling with people who have survived stranger rape, and I've heard that term so many times that I think the question is really, at what point are people choosing to ignore their gut feeling? Well, who has ever encouraged you to get in touch with your gut feeling, right? Who has ever said to you, you know what? Women do have intuition. We do have a very strong intuition. I'm not talking anything psychobabble, psychic, give me your money and I'll shuffle a deck of cards kind of stuff. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a well-defined intuition, which many of us call gut feeling, okay? Men respect the fact that women have good intuition. Men are fully aware of the fact that many men don't, but women do. So I guess I would just say it's very important. If you don't have a good gut feeling going on with different things, then figure out how to talk to your gut. Think about it. Back in the day, women spent a lot of time together, a lot of time. And then when I say back in the day, I have no idea when I mean. But think about your own childhood. Women spent time together. Think about 30 years ago. Women were still spending time together, but that's when I think the fragmented society, the fragmented families really started affecting or impacting society. Women need women. Women need to spend time together. Women need to encourage each other, okay? Especially older women, I think, need to encourage younger women, and younger women need to shut their mouths and be encouraged by the older women. And I don't mean shut their mouths forever. I mean shut their mouths long enough to recognize that they might, if they shut their mouths, they might then be able to hear something from an older woman that may actually help them in their own lives and for the rest of their lives. The younger women, I think, are so busy believing that they know everything. And I'm not trying to bash younger women. I'm saying seriously, very seriously, there are a lot of older women on this planet who could very well, very quickly help younger women understand things. But this is not how the social media thing works, right? Because on social media, younger women know everything. They all have their fake pictures and they know everything. While older women are looking at it all going, whoa, wow, goodness me, right? Well, physically, in real life, women need to spend time together in order to be supportive of each other and encourage each other. And the best parenting comes from parents who have a strong support system, okay? And all of this is leading to something. What I want to say, which circles right on back to the issue of Munchausen by proxy on social media. It is, in my opinion, obvious that there was Munchausen by proxy going on. It is, in my opinion, obvious that people in her world were pretending in a way. And in my opinion, it is obvious that the reason it could be pretended away was because she was disconnected from everybody. Even some of her own neighbors didn't know she lived there. They didn't recognize her at all. Not at all. She lived there for 5 years, and her neighbors didn't even know she lived there, right? Now, take it back 30 years. Of course, the houses wouldn't have been there, but take it back 30 years. If it was, or 40 years, or 50 years, or whatever, not that the yards were big enough to have a garden, but if everyone 30, 40, 50 years ago was swapping from their gardens like people do where I live, and they used to do 30, 40, 50 years ago, then her neighbors would have met her, right? And if the kids were sick constantly, her neighbors would have said, wow, those kids are sick a lot. And then maybe one of her neighbors could have said, you know what, let me take the kids for you for a day, give you a break, right? You see what I'm saying? Accountability, even accessibility to support, communication, the social cues that matter. It's pretty hard to give somebody the side eye on social media. It's pretty hard to give them the tone of voice that says, There's something weird about this situation. So it's pretty hard to ever hold anybody accountable in the way that women communicate. We don't just communicate with words, right? It is so important. And I'm not even saying, oh, boo-hoo, poor Christopher Watt's wife didn't have a support system in place of neighbors and close friends and whatever who were directly involved on a daily basis, making sure that she had, whatever support she needed. But here's the other part of it. She was 30 whatever years old. It was her responsibility to get the support that she needed for her children. It was her responsibility to connect with other people in real life who could hold her accountable, who could help her with those social cues, who actually could accept her as she was, making sure that by accepting her as she was, that the safety net, the safety measures were in place, that regardless of whatever or whoever or however or whatever she was doing, that Bella and Cece Watts were absolutely safe to be near her. So there's my good morning lecture on Cece Watts' birthday. And now the sun is really getting bright and I can barely see the comments at all. You know how usually I sit here and I read off your comments one right after another? Well, I would be doing that this morning too if I could see them. I'm turning like halfway. Miss CD says, I'm wondering why I'm not getting notifications to your lives. I've been on YouTube all weekend and see nothing. That isn't unusual. That happens all the time. I think that with all the scumbag attackers and all their stupid reporting and all that crap, I think that we get shoved down the list because evidently they think if they keep on pulling their shit that we're going to just take our toys and go home. Rose says, amen. I will tell you, I'm holding my computer kind of like up in the air right now to read these, so I'll probably only read a few. I still can't see this one. Dang it. Come on. Where is it? Okay, here we go. SR's channel has my faith and it speaks volumes about SW. There's LA Stone Gal. Let's see here. LA Stone Gal says, please go on SR's channel called My Faith and it speaks volumes in shaping SW. Okay, I'll do that. I won't do that this weekend, LA Stone Gal. So, because I'm gonna click off here shortly and then I'm gonna be super busy. I'll try to hop on a little bit later tonight, but I have to get my videos up on Patreon when I get back on the computer tonight. So I'm not sure if I'll hop back on and do a live chat because I have to get those up for Patreon. But if you want to remind me again, that'd be great because I'd be happy to take a look at that. And I think that'd be a really interesting discussion to see if there are any patterns maybe or any type of familiar routines or whatever that would have brought her to the point where she thought taking Bella and Cece to the emergency room all the time would be a good idea. Oh, I can't see that. Crap. It's really getting sunny. Okay. Well, getting sunny. I guess you're sunny or not. Kind of like you're pregnant or not, right? Susie said, great job with the videos last night. Really? I thought that, oh, you mean plugging those 2 little videos in? Yeah, that was cool that worked. And here's Miss CD. Here we go. I can see this right now. I would love to join your Patreon, but I'm not putting my info out there, including my credit card. I had it hacked online before. And I think that's an important point to keep reminding people too. When you join Patreon, your home address, even your address information, everything. I'm trying to think. I'm not sure if the credit card number, I don't think the credit card number's there. But what happens is when you pay with a credit card like that, then whatever your name and your address and stuff is for that credit card is given to the Patreon channel creator. And people don't know this. You know, they're saying, oh, join us on Discord, join us on Patreon, do this, do that, without saying, be careful, because, you know, if you want me to know where you live, join me on Patreon is how we should be saying it, right? So, okay, I'm going to have to take off. I'm actually getting some things accomplished now. And I'll tell you this, there's nothing like going through an experience like I've just been through. There's nothing like it to really have you go, wow. And then it's just like, it energizes your life when you can have a good group of people standing firm together for what is right in order to protect another person. And when that person also stands firm for his rights, and you just stand back and go, yes, yes, right? When you stand up against evil and you're able to look to your side, look to your left, look to your right, and you see others standing with you in our society who actually firmly stand for good, it's really energizing. I just got to tell you, even though it might sound kind of like in contrast to how tired I sounded last night and how I'm still kind of like, you know, getting my druthers back of going like, whoo, man. And I spend quite a bit of time. I have the last couple of days just shaking my head going, I can't believe it. I just can't believe it. And I'll give you another little tidbit. Yesterday, a person approached me, and I won't say who at all, but the experience that I was helping with, this person who approached me has also experienced the same situation. And that is very powerful to have been approached with that story to begin with, and then to hear the details of that story. It's also very frightening because it confirms for all of us that this is actually a thing. And it's a thing that deserves to be exposed. It's a thing that deserves to be stopped. So, oh, there goes my phone. Okay, I'm going to take off. Everybody have a wonderful weekend, and we'll try to touch base later in the weekend. If not, for the Patreon, I always say Patreons, for the patrons, I want you to know I do have some time set aside this evening to get those videos uploaded. So the videos are on their way. I love you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Gotta grab the phone.